Pastor, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Now you've been working at food ministry. I know I've been up there and saw you serving every Saturday. I don't know if you do Tuesdays or not, but I
Every
know you
Saturday and
every
Tuesday.
Saturday and Tuesday. You're
Yes, sir.
still out there doing ministry. And what about the prisons? Let's talk about the prisons first. What's going on in the prisons now that uh, I was hoping I'd have Evangelist Jackie on. I'll talk a little bit about, but she said she may be able to get on by 8:30. But tell us a little
Okay.
about what's going on in the prisons right now.
Well, the prisons have no one's really outreach towards the prison as far as the vaccine is concerned. Still, rapid cases of COVID is still going on there. We are not allowed, no volunteers are not allowed to go into the prisons yet. So, still the same thing. The offenders are not being ministered to. No one's out reaching out to them because there's no way to do it. DOC has
Uh,
certain guidelines, so you can't send videos or nothing like that to minister to the offenders. So it makes it kind of hard to do that with not having face-to-face live contact. So as far as I know, they still have a rapid number of cases going on. I think Fremont and Sterling has one of the biggest ones out there, as far as I know. Bena Vista, I did talk to the volunteer coordinator out there. Same thing, it's hard there because you guys have to imagine there's no hospitals. The cleaning there is not the same, and the environment is not the same. So the virus has a way of spreading much quicker there because there's no protection. There's no, you're not going to hand sanitize. There's no hand sanitizer and stuff going on like it is in the hospitals and stuff. So you're getting a whole different environment, and I think everybody leaves the offenders out of the mix, and you don't hear people talking about it in the news about the guys in the prison. But there are thousands dying, but we don't talk about that, so we never hear about it. But yeah, we do get updates, but nothing new. That is the reason why we're doing the food bank ministry, is because there's nothing else for us to do. And I believe pastors and people who say they're called to the ministry, they keep their foot on the plow and keep working. There's things to do, like you said, outside of the things that we normally do in the ministry. So I'm in the prison ministry, but since the pandemic, I've been doing the food bank ministry.
yeah, and also, Pastor, answer this question for me: Are the prisoners allowed to still receive mail?
They are allowed to receive mail. We cannot do it. Did have a letter writing ministry. Our pastor, Gregory McDonald, who's in charge of outreach ministry, is the one who's in charge of all that. He We need an outreach ministry for letter writing. We have no one to do that. That's the problem.
So you're saying that if we had something in place where we could respond to and write to prisoners or those that are incarcerated, uh, that would be okay. That's a way that we could reach out.
Yeah, that is a way, back in the old heritage, that was one of our most popular ways of doing it, was because the offenders can write in. There are certain guidelines that you have to do when you write an offender. First of all, volunteers like us cannot have any connection to them. So we would have to take somebody like Pastor Charles or yourself and have them write the letters, and then we have someone edit it. Was signed by Bishop Leonard at that time, who now passed and gone, and then we would send that out to the offenders. So now we don't have a team like that. So there's no outreach to touch the offenders until we actually go back in.
Yeah, and I believe God is calling us to come together, outside the four walls. That means different denominations and different churches. And I know a buddy of mine, Bishop, who's been on the program, he had a letter writing ministry also, and one of his team members I know goes out with you. So
Hmm.
if you're out there listening and God places that on your heart that you like to write and you may want to correspond, and we're not telling you to go look for a wife or a husband or a pen pal connection or anything like that. But if you would like to uh, write or maybe even facilitate that, let us know. because I know my pastor, Pastor Marlon Sanders, is always looking for ideas and always looking for things and ways to reach out to people to bring them closer to Christ. Now, a ministry like this is going to take work. It's going to take time. But it's going to take people. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Is if you have a
Yeah, and
desire to do something like that, I'll make sure that it gets into the hands of Pastor Elijah, and he knows the ins and outs of where to direct that to, who to take it to, so that that stream of communication can begin to be open, because we don't know how long this thing is going to last this lockdown is going to last. And that letter you write, or it may touch someone. That scripture that you put in there might just be that word to draw somebody closer to the Lord. We need to begin to think outside the box and think about how we can reach people uh, outside of the four walls. Now, I love church. When they open the doors back up, I'll be there. If they have to wheel me in, I'll be there. And I love to shout and dance. But I think God has allowed some of these things to happen so we can begin to do some things differently. There is a shift in the atmosphere. And go ahead, Pastor. And I want to know what it is. I don't have all the answers.
Pastor, before you guys go any farther, I want to say, for those who do want to volunteer as far as letter writing is concerned, and I admire this man very much. See Pastor Gregory McDonald, who's in charge of outreach and the prison ministry, the food bank ministry. That's the person you go see, because we have a guideline and we would love to have you. We would love for you to volunteer. You need to call Heritage Christian Center and get in contact with Pastor Gregory McDonald. But you mentioned Pastor Dimmer, who I admire very much. And yes, one of his members, which is Evangelist Jackie Moore, who my wife and I mentored and worked into the prison ministry, who has become one of the very valuable tools in the prison. And she's not a member of Heritage. So if you're still interested in being part of the prison ministry, that's another way to get involved, because we are at Heritage. We are not afraid or intimidated by other ministries. We'll take what God has given you and use it and teach you how to start your own prison ministry. There are people who have went to Now Faith Christian Center Church who have started their own prison ministry, who are no longer in Denver, Colorado, and I can just name them, who have actually started their own prison ministry because of what Heritage Christian Center and Greg McDonald has presented. So I just want to put that out there, let you guys know that is available to you. You need to see the proper channels and go to the proper authorities.
Yeah. And we've got some viewers out there. I just want to thank you for tuning in. If you've got any ideas, drop them in the comment line. And as always, we'll get them to the right person, be it Pastor Gregory McDonald, who will probably be on the program again when he has time. Very busy man. We'll get it into Pastor Charles's hands. I don't know what type of outreach they have for patients that may not have family. Phone. I know that at one point I read something about tablets and smartphones being available for persons that were on the wards. You might want to volunteer to make a video call, a FaceTime, a Zoom call with somebody that's in the hospital that may not have anyone. The homeless people, those that are challenged, what do we call it, shelter challenged, or those, they get sick too, and they go to the hospital, and they need communication. And
Pastor, one of the things that is good, and I want to mention this, that's been a blessing to me since the pandemic has started, and that is the food bank ministry. It's a lot of work. Yes, Tuesdays, there's only 3 of us there as far as men are concerned, a lot of work. But to see those people drive up, some of the people are living in their vans and living in their cars, and they're struggling. To encourage the little kids, the impact of ministering there has changed my life dramatically, because I've got to impact the little kids, to encourage them, to tell the little girls that there's still somebody, they still can make it. because we have to understand the pandemic is not only affecting the grown-ups, but it's affecting our children, and our children are having a hard time. And it's hard to see your mom or your dad drive up to that food bank ministry and you're with them. But those little kids look forward to it because we give them treats and we give them snacks to eat while they're dealing with their parents and while their parents are trying to think about how to feed the family. But if you want to get involved again, that food bank ministry is such a blessing. Uh, there's no prayer team and there's nothing like that. We're just giving out food and touching the hurting hearts of people with the love of Jesus Christ through handing out food. The Bible says, when I was hungry, you fed me. So that's another avenue. That's a great avenue to get involved with. If your church has a food bank ministry, get involved with your church's food bank ministry. You'll find you'll touch lots of lives without saying one word, without ministering one word. Just your smile. If you smile at somebody, they'll smile back at you. And that is such a thing to hear them say thank you, because we get up and it be icy cold outside and it's freezing. And it takes all my will and sacrifice for me to get up every morning and do this. I passed up numerous opportunities to sleep in bed on Tuesday morning and say I didn't want to go. But when I think about the old man that's in line every Tuesday and he's in line wanting food for his family, when I think about the mother with her daughter and their whole van windows covered up with curtains and that they're in that line at 8 o'clock in the morning, even before we open, they're in line. There's hundreds of cars, hundreds of people that are being touched through Heritage Christian Center's Food Bank Ministry, which is one of the greatest outreach right now during the pandemic.
Hello, my name is Pastor David Whitmore, and I want to invite you to join us every Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for Ask the Pastors. We have a host of pastors available to answer your questions, to take your prayer requests, and just be available for you in these different and difficult times. Join us.